So I started reading The Artist's Way recently, and I realized how much it connects to my spiritual journey that I've been going on. And throughout my whole life, I was never nurtured. My inner artist was never nurtured. And until this year, have I truly stepped into my creativity, my feminine, my inner child, to allow my truth, my authenticity to flow, to be expressed, to not to minimize, criticize, abandon, reject my inner artist, my inner child. And I did it in very subtle ways when I was growing up, and a lot of it was through music for the most part. And like occasional doodling. I remember I used to draw on like classwork all the time. And there was this one English teacher when we were doing like vocabulary. I actually improved his teaching style because we would have specific vocabulary words and we'd have note cards and we'd write down the word and basic stuff. But I would draw on the note card, and then I remember he threw something at me, which is pretty lame actually, because I just would zone out. Because most of the time, honestly, let's be real, school, like, do you remember, from my personal experience, I'll say, there are certain things that I appreciate about my education, but for the most part, not was unnecessary. There were definitely like my path and my purpose and my authenticity, my truth didn't need to learn about American history for 3 years in a row, about slavery for 3 years in a row. That was, for some reason that happened. The Civil War and slavery were like for 3 years. Oh my gosh, it was ridiculous. And also, a side note with learning and education, if you're not regulating your nervous system and you're running loops, you're not going to be able to embody and learn information that actually excites you because you're in a survival state. And personally, I wasn't even emotionally processing my stuff. So, let alone regulating my nervous system. I was like, the nervous system was like, oh, it's nerves that like, was like, what was it? Hand-eye coordination is what I equivalated it to. If that's a word. If I'm using that right. But, so, what was I even talking about? Jumping. School. Yeah, so I upgraded that one teacher with the vocabulary. But before that, I was judged and shamed for doing that. I remember staring out of the window. I would just like not care about math class. And these were all small ways, circling back to the Artist's Way, that I was trying to embody, to allow myself, my inner artist, my inner child to be expressed. And how I denied it. Because I confined it. I was conditioned and confined and not nurtured. She goes in to talk about an artist, especially, which is your inner child. It's your truth and your authenticity and your light. Need to be nurtured, to be loved, to be supported. And I never received that support. I was never, like, it was always a competition in my household. it was always competitive. It was always a survival state for between me and my sister of being loved, receiving and being seen and heard. And then even then, it was like it was all through achievements, accolades, doing stuff that you would finally receive the love that I would receive the love that I deserved. And that was when my mom was even around as a single parent. So, this inner child of mine, this inner artist, was heavily abandoned, rejected, denied as well. Because I was constantly on the go with her schedule and whatnot and daycare. There wasn't time made for my creativity. And then it reached a point where there might have been opportunities, and I felt I had normalized the rejection of my inner artist, my creativity. And it's sad. It's not easy. And through my spiritual journey of going inwards and sitting with these parts of me and the conditioning, have I learned to actually foster and work through not wanting to create art. I remember probably like 3 years ago, when I was like, I'm going to draw every single day, just draw a sketch. And I did that for probably like 2 months. But you'll notice like eventually you're going to get hit with resistance, excuses, a certain piece of your identity / conditioning / trauma loops from your nervous system that you're facing an identity that isn't your truth, but you believe it to be you. These shadows, these masks. And you eventually give up on your truth and your authenticity, and your inner artist, your inner light, your purpose, what actually truly makes you happy. And you were denied that. I was denied that. I was denied that heavily. And I found little tiny pieces to hide away my inner artist, to feel safe, to create, which is a lot of it was mental, with music and visualizing. And then drawing was, I needed to draw while I was doing something else that was productive, that was, productive, achievement focus. That's like a heavy insecurity thing. And then music is like how I'd regulate my emotions at the time. High school, oh man. Linkin Park and Green Day. Oh my gosh, I just connected that. That's what I would listen to. I used to have to drive an hour to school, to and from. And I would listen to Green Day, Linkin Park. And I think, is it Last Resort? What is it? 3 Days Grace? Those were like my main three. AC/DC Thunderstruck was, I used to be able to sing that. Super. I used to sing that song very passionately. And so through the spiritual journey, I'm stepping into all these ways, learning more about my authentic creativity, my authentic expression, all these ways in writing, painting, drawing, and so many other ways of what it means to be me, who I truly am, what my inner child craves to create, loves to create, what I'm channeling from the divine source, God, all that is, into physical reality that I need and that others need. so this is kind of long, but to wrap it up, that through my spiritual journey of going inward, I would say right now in this point, I can say for certain that I am the most happiest, loving me, self-loving me that I've ever been. And I appreciate myself and love myself. And stepping into more of who I truly am from just meditating every single day, choosing myself every single day, and doing the fucking work, putting myself first. And I could talk for an hour about that. So that's led me to step into creating, into actually prioritizing my truth, my authenticity, and my light. And this full circle clarity of this year and a half has been a lot of unknown. I didn't even know that I wanted that creativity was my path of my spiritual journey. I had a completely different mindset of going into my healing journey and what it would look like. And that's what healing does, is expose the externals. For me personally, my journey has been exposing my external expectations I had for myself and my career, my path, and my purpose, to going inward and internally realizing my truth, authenticity, and light and creativity, and what that meant for me, and stepping into it, and how I've been denying it, and I've been denying my inner child. So, yeah, going inward has changed my life. I can say that. I feel it in my heart. I feel the energy flowing around me and in me, that who I am now and what I've gone through, left behind, and embodying now is more of my truth than I've ever been in my whole entire life. And that's a beautiful thing. I was literally saying it earlier after my meditation today. I was like, this is the happiest and most loving I've ever been of myself, appreciating myself, most centered, most open-hearted, most expressive, creative, lightful, connected, divine I've ever been. And yeah, it's emotional. I'm emotional right now. It's like a mixed bag of like, there's still things parts of me that need to be tended to, and that's just the journey of becoming. And then there's also just this like joy, happiness, peace, love, excitement for who I am now and what's to come, what is already here, because that's what you have everything you need. Anyway, that's a different you have everything you need, and it's always around you. And becoming is just realizing that it's already here, that you already are, and you've just been denying that version of you. So, yeah, lots of stuff. I'm realizing that I just talk. There's just so many notes to hit with explaining spirituality stuff that like, yeah. So, if you've made it this far, what's up? Thanks for listening. Recognize what has come up and embrace your truth, because it's fucking worth it to choose yourself. I can tell you that. Yeah, it's worth it. And it only gets better. It only goes up. It may feel like shit up and down, but I promise you, I promise me, it only gets better. That the future is bright. I had that in a poem today that I wrote. It made me very emotional. I was like, damn. Has the future not been bright this whole time? But there's a part of me that didn't feel that way. I'm like, I'm pretty fucking optimistic, but there's still a piece of me that's like, damn the unknown. I'm scared of that. But embracing it. And the future is bright. And I'm stepping into more of that truth. That the future is bright and loving and divine. Emotional. Maybe it's joy. A happy emotion that the future is bright. All right.